Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to objectively unpack a truly fascinating philosophical framework that completely challenges how society views its aging population. The source material we're looking at today proposes a radical shift in how we structure the later stages of life, moving away from this idea of a passive retirement and instead stepping into active societal leadership.
So here's our roadmap. We have 5 key areas to cover: defining true elders, the need for physical stamina, practicing the righteous law, transitioning from seniors to elders, and finally, scaling this new paradigm. Let's jump right in.
Starting with Section 1, the true definition of elders and guiding the youth. The source material kicks things off by identifying a pretty profound societal problem, a stark lack of wise elders to guide the younger generation. Notice the massive contrast here. Currently, society kind of defaults to viewing the older generation as seniors, basically passive receivers of societal care. But the philosophy we're examining pushes for a full transition to elders, or Eoreun in Korean. An elder in this framework is an active giver of wisdom. It's not just about growing older chronologically, it's about stepping into this vital, dynamic role where you're directly contributing to the intellectual and moral growth of the next generation.
According to the lecture, there's a natural order to a healthy society. True elders are meant to have the capacity to speak up and offer direction, while juniors and society as a whole listen and learn. If the older generation is just sitting quietly without sharing all that accumulated wisdom, the speaker argues that this natural order is fundamentally broken. Elders absolutely must have the capacity and the platform to speak.
Which brings us to Section 2, Taekwondo and physical stamina. We have to look at the physical requirements of being an elder, because actively speaking, guiding, and mentoring actually takes an immense amount of physical energy. This raises an immediate question. How exactly does an aging individual maintain the stamina required to constantly guide society? It's incredibly easy to just say elders should be the voice of wisdom, but physically projecting that voice and keeping that mental sharpness takes a huge toll on the body. Well, the speaker proposes a very specific and honestly kind of surprising solution. They state to have the energy to speak, you must practice Taekwondo and Danjen breathing to circulate your vital energy. So the core idea here is that physical training, specifically martial arts like Taekwondo and deep, focused abdominal breathing known as Danjen breathing, isn't just for general fitness. It literally provides the crucial stamina, the lung capacity, and the energy circulation necessary for elders to speak effectively and with authority over long periods. Moving on to Section 3, practicing the righteous law. Beyond just the physical health aspect, we really need to explore the mental regimen that these elders have to undertake. Now, consider this fascinating concept of Jungbub. This translates roughly to righteous social education or philosophical teachings. The speaker argues that elders shouldn't just be speaking off the cuff or relying strictly on past experiences. Instead, they are tasked with studying, reviewing, and rigorously vetting these Jungbub teachings to ensure they're actually beneficial before passing them down to society. They act as the ultimate philosophical filter for the culture. The source suggests a highly structured timeline for this. On day 1, new teachings are introduced. Around day 15, they conduct an initial review. And by day 30, they provide a final assessment. So they dedicate anywhere from 15 to 30 days to actively debating and reviewing these teachings to determine their actual value to society. It's essentially a rigorous intellectual boot camp designed to keep their minds sharp and their contributions totally relevant. Let's look at Section 4, from seniors to elders, and talk about real-world action. How do we take this theoretical philosophy and turn it into actionable community building? To actually pull this off, elders are going to need specific logistical support. For example, if they're reviewing teachings and speaking to the youth, they need to be able to communicate flawlessly. That might mean providing hearing aids or access to educational resources. But here is the really fascinating part. The speaker argues this support should absolutely not come from the government. Instead, it needs to come from private foundations or groups they call social parents. Why? Because government funding comes with bureaucratic strings, restrictions, and interference. To maintain total independence and objectively guide society, the elders have to be supported privately. And the number 6 is pivotal here. The speaker asserts that within just 6 months of implementing this model, giving a small test group of elders the physical training, the philosophical education, and that independent support, they can generate a powerful, undeniable success report to prove that the system actually works.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Scaling the New Paradigm. Let's explore this final phase of global expansion, taking the movement from a small test group to across the nation and eventually the globe.
The crucial point is this step-by-step implementation plan, and it starts incredibly small. Step 1, gather a seed group of just 10 or more individuals. Step 2, establish them as a legal entity, an elders association. Step 3, have them rigorously review the Jungbub teachings. And finally, Step 4, use their positive results, their improved health and societal contributions to report successes and secure broader foundation funding. It's a highly scalable recipe for success.
The ultimate institutional goal is super clear. It's to completely transform the existing senior citizens associations, which, let's be honest, are often just places to pass the time, into dynamic elders associations. By presenting the undeniable proof of those successful test groups we just talked about, the hope is that traditional senior centers will see the benefits and naturally want to evolve into hubs where elders actively work for the betterment of society.
This brings us to the ultimate social benefit of this entire framework. The quote states, "When elders have a role and work for the next generation, there is no loneliness and suicide disappears." By giving the older generation a profound sense of purpose, a vital societal duty, and a real community to engage with, the speaker theorizes that severe social issues like elderly loneliness, depression, and suicide will naturally resolve themselves. They won't just be surviving, they'll be actively leading.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. Are we actively preparing our aging population to become the wise elders our society desperately needs? This entire framework completely reframes how we look at aging, not as this inevitable physical decline that needs to be passively managed by the state, but as an ascent to a critical, active leadership role that requires training, support, and profound respect. Thank you so much for joining me to explore these ideas today. Keep learning and keep asking the big questions.